flash drives.
or my version of a presentation on flash drive. I'm into so many different things with computers that I'll be on one computer doing something and then have to respond to something else and go to a complete different computer or a different place with a computer. So a lot of times I'll carry the project with me, and I carry the project with me in the form of the program being on a thumb drive. You know I'm involved in the Fish and Game Club. I'm the club president. Every year I put together the full year's roster. I do the databases and all of the stuff that's relevant to running the club, the membership application form, the handbook, everything. Well, having it on my PC is good, but grew it a little bit, didn't it? Thumb drives provide a way for me to not only have what I want with me, but to give somebody else that's in need of the same information their own drive with their own information. See the little key tags? This drive is titled Deerfield Fish and Game Club 2022 Officers. I gave the treasurer and the vice president drives just like this. They went home, they plugged them into their computers, and they were able to go on, just using this, go online and view all of our cameras.
Wow.
They were able to go online and view all of our roster, our membership. They can go in and look at it, correct it. They can go in and manage our card system, which gives access to or denies access to anything from the program link they've got here. They don't have to install anything on their computer because there's a shortcut built in here. Because I tend to travel, like I said, I have to know if I got the right mouse for the right computer. I have a small hard drive plugged in. This hard drive has got damn near everything I own on it. And by that, I've got something that I call WA2CAV server, which WA2CAV is my ham call, and I called it that so I know what it was from everything else. And you can see, I think, that that whole page has got directory after directory after. I could spend 20 minutes to a half an hour looking for something specific. So that's my bulk storage. It goes with me, and if I need to look something up, I can do it. But the stuff I use all the time goes onto the thumb drive. And there are proper ways of unplugging these drives, and I am not using it. You should go down in the lower right corner and disconnect the drive from the network or from the computer, so that if you've got something open and you pull that drive out, you may lose the file because that's not the proper shutdown for that drive. I had nothing open, and I'm not worried too much about doing that. I just plugged the drive in that I told you about, and again, it's hard for you to see it from there, but that's got everything that any one of my officers would need to take over for me if something happened. It also gives me access anywhere that I'm at to be able to go in and perform whatever functions need to be done at that moment. And again, I talked last time about remote desktop and getting in and out with this computer into the computers up there. All my shortcuts are on the drive. I'm not quite sure what you would like to see me do with this, but I can show you some short, easy tricks that you can use yourself with stuff that you do all the time. If you like to go to different websites, a lot of people will save them right in the web page program. Well, now you open the web page program and here's everything. You got to remember what website. I go to the website, I click on the address, and I use the shortcut keys, Control-C, to copy the information that I just highlighted. Then I go to my screen, you know, if I could get a 75-inch monitor in here, it would help.
Well, there's one coming, actually.
I go to my screen, and on the screen, again, I do shortcuts. Any place on the screen, I right mouse click.
60.
Let me get something to right mouse click with first. Well, of course, I'll try, no, that one's not gonna do me what I want. Anybody have a website that they go to all the time?
Weebly.
And what's the address for it?
Well, it could be cloverleafnews.weebly.com, or you could just type channel 95. That's normally what I do. Then you click on Clover Leaf Community and it takes you right into the site.
I have been there before, but I haven't been there in a while. Check here to view, click here to view channel 95.
Or you don't want to, you really don't want to go to 95. That's the rolling.
Okay.
But if you go over to activities, click on activities,
I'll
go down
close.
to Computer Club.
Well, all I have here is click here to view channel 95.
You may have gotten the portable version rather than the full-size version.
Rather than me fumbling through it.
Clover Leaf Community here, let's, oops. Boy, this baby is really trigger happy. What's live, we definitely don't want him. Okay, now, go down here, I'll go very slowly this time. Go to Clover Leaf Community.
Right.
And click on that. Okay, now, if we go across here, see activities,
Okay.
and there's the Computer Club. Boy, that baby's sensitive. You got light fingers.
Mouse.
Oh, he's not, okay.
All right.
And there's our
We'll
computer.
stop it right.
Okay.
Now, you saw how long it took for Joe to get there. In the address bar, if you highlight the address bar, which is just click on it, it turns blue. Remember I talked about shortcut keys. Control C. Now, I can close this, all that work that Joe did to get me here, I can close that. On my desktop, I can right mouse click and down here I look for New, N-E-W. When I click on that, it opens up. The first thing is Folder, the next thing is Shortcut. So I click on Shortcut. And I get the screen which tells me to type in what I want, where I want to go. Again, laziness. I simply make sure I click into it. Control V as in Victor prints that information that I just cut off the other screen with Control C. Now it's there. I click on Next, and it wants me to give it a name. So I'm just going to say Clover Leaf PC. Enter. Now it developed for me a nice little icon, and when I double click on the icon, instead of having to type all that stuff back in again, it brought me right to the point that I wanted to be at. So there was no repeated typing. I didn't have to go through the browser. I didn't have to figure out where I wanted to be because I've been there once. I stored it. Now, that's on this PC. But I've got a thumb drive pulled in here, plugged in here. If I close the window and I go down to the little manila folder down there and click, I look at my desktop, and the desktop gives me a list of all the icons, all the shortcuts that I have on the desktop. And at my age, I should know better. Put them on when you first start so you don't have to get them out and put them on in the middle. I look down through here and I find Clover Leaf PC, and I look down here, I've got my USB drive, my thumb drive that's plugged in here. If I click on the Clover Leaf and I drag it down to my thumb drive, it says copy. I let go of it. You said it was fast, I didn't. It should now appear when I go to the thumb drive as one of my options on my thumb drive. And it is, it's the third item on my thumb drive. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to right mouse click on the icon I just put on my desktop, and I'm going to delete it. So now it's gone. So if I want to go there now with the PC by itself, I've got to type it all back in and go back through the whole routine. But if I saved it on my thumb drive, which could be my most used applications that I want to get to anywhere I'm at, I go back to my thumb drive, I go back to my folders, I go to my thumb drive, I go down to the Clover Leaf PC, double click on it, and there it is. Now I've got two choices. When I shut it off on this PC, it's going to be gone except for on the thumb drive. So if I pull the thumb drive out, what am I going to do if I want to have it back on this PC? Very simple. I can repeat the process of making the icon simply by clicking up here, highlighting it, Control C, closing it, getting back to my desktop, right mouse click on the desktop, new, shortcut, paste it in there, Control V, next, give it a name, and say finished. And then if I want to take and get to it from this particular PC anytime I'm here, oh, and I'm right back there. So I've got it either on the machine of origin or on my thumb drive. Now, again, going back to working at the club, I've got a desktop in my office at the club that has all the functionality that I have to do up there. The gate control, the membership roster, anything that I have to print, such as membership application, all of that is on that PC. But it's also, I said this was the officer's thumb drive, it's also here. Say that PC up there quit. Any PC that's up there, I could power it up and be right in business because I've got a copy of it here. We talked about web security. You don't want to have a lot of stuff on the computer like your license information or your address and other personal information. You can save that to the thumb drive. And the only time it's on your PC is when you're plugged in with the thumb drive. So my bank or my credit union application is a shortcut on my thumb drive. Not this one, this one's at clubs. I want to do some banking, check my banking, I plug that in, open it up, select the icon for that application, and my PC takes me where I want to be. When I got down here and I plugged into my PC, I got asked to verify that I wanted to be on this, or the network asked me to verify that who I was because it saw a different IP address from me. So with the check and balance, I said accept it. It rang my phone and left me a text message with a number, and it waited for me to add that number, and then I was able to go in, check my checking account, savings account, and all of that. When I closed out of it and I pulled my thumb drive, I'm no longer involved with that PC. It might be in the history, but that's all. And I clear the history out of here every so often just so that I don't have a lot of crap slowing me down. That's primarily why I use thumb drives, the way I use them and the frequency that I use them.
Hello, come in.
I just stopped in to, I heard that their computer club was here.
It's a computer club.
2:30, and I was just wondering what it entails and what to do, because I have some issues that I need to learn about, and I didn't know if this is what.
Well, you're welcome to come in and sit down. Charlie's giving us a little presentation right now.
Okay.
But you're welcome to sit down and join us. And
Okay, and do you, is this all newbies learning how to do things?
we're at all different levels.
Oh, different.
Charlie's an expert, and it goes downhill from there.
Oh.
Far,
Rapidly downhill.
Right. because
far
I-
from an expert, I have many faults, and if you know me long enough, the list will grow.
Okay. Right, well, I just didn't know what your whole group entailed, because I just wanted to know if there's anyone that could help me learn how to take a PES file for embroidery machine onto a flash drive and put it onto my machine for my laptop. And I'm saying, I can't do that. So I didn't know if that's what, the group
That's-
did, if
That's
you
what
just
we're
learned
doing
different
today.
things, or.
That's pretty much the idea of the group, is I really will not live up to Joe's expectations because I've had a lot of experience, but I've been in situations where I've had an awful lot of good help to rely on. And some of my shortcuts, some of my little tricks of the trade aren't as smooth as I'd like them to be. But it does cut a lot of my time down when I'm doing stuff, and taking a PDF file, copying it to a thumb drive, so long as you've got a thumb drive that plugs into both items,
Yeah,
it should
but
be
this is a PES file.
a PES file?
PES file, because it's from the embroidery site, you know, and they send them to me on a PES file, and I have to get it from my laptop onto the flash drive, and
Right,
then
so,
plug it into
so we might
my,
continue though.
Right.
Would you like to just sit down and join us and let Charlie
I just didn't
continue?
know if that was a possibility. If
It
was,
is-
then I would like
Anything,
to be-
anything's a possibility as long as it has to do with computers.
It is a possibility, and if all you're doing is taking a file, it doesn't matter what the extension on it is. If it was a DOC, it would get opened by your word processor. If it's a PDF, it'd be opened by a reader of a PDF
Right,
file.
right.
If it was an XYZ, you have to have a program that opens
Right.
XYZ.
Right,
And that's
yeah,
basically what we're kind of talking about right now,
oh, okay. All
okay?
right. All right, I can sit and listen for a little bit, and I'm sorry
If
to
you-
interrupt everybody, but I just didn't know who to call or how to find out about it, except by coming, so.
Okay. If you'd like to get on the distribution list,
Another thumb drive, you notice the only significant difference is the color and the tags. This tag says DFGC, which is Deerfield Fishing Game Club, card access. Well, this isn't gonna do anybody here any good or me unless I install it. And why would I install it? Because somehow I lost the access program. And I would have to install it on the PC back up at the club. So I would have to restore this remotely. I would have to plug in here. I would have to attach to the PC that I want to get to, and then run this program to do a reinstall up there. Or if I was setting up a new card reading system here for door control, the program's here. I just plug into the local PC in which I'm setting that up, set the program up, put the card information in, and access or deny access to any of the doors in here. But again, it's a program. Guess what? It's somewhere on here.
so you're bringing the program as well as the data.
This one is purely program. This would be for a new
Okay.
install. But that being said, I can go in and I do a transfer of that every month when I run it on two separate PCs. The secretary does all of the work on it, and I have a running version in case the secretary does something wronger than me. If we lose the information because of anything, carelessness, lightning, a computer, whatever, I've got it on a second computer running in redundant. What if we had a lightning strike and it took out both of the computers? Well, now I have to go in and recreate it. But I have a copy on my master thumb drive of the last time I transferred it from the secretary's to my PC. I made a third copy, which went onto my flash drive that I have for those type of things. We have lost our database with all the names in it. We've been hacked and lost it. We had some kind of fluke and we lost data. So I have had to go in and rebuild these files. So I got in the habit once a month, it's my sworn duty to go in, make a clean copy of the operating system, talking about the database which controls our membership, or the access control system that controls our doors and gates, I make a copy, and then I copy it into my machine, which is running as a secondary machine up there. Because the way these systems work is all the information stays in the program. If something happens to the program, you lose all of the data, what this person's name can get to this door, this person cannot get to that door. All of that gets lost unless you have a backup of the actual working file. And that's what I do every month. And guess what? I do it from here. So I'm
You
not.
back those up too, Charlie?
Yep.
I figured you did.
We do backup on the machines, but I've also seen ransomware go in and lock everything up, and
I meant your flash drive, sorry, you're backing up your flash drives.
I have more than one of the same thing. I do back them up that way. I don't get into a lot of backups where the machine does the backups. I go in and do them myself, so I know that I'm putting them on a place that I can get to. I do not use the cloud. Many people say, well, why don't you? You know what? Steal that from me, go ahead. What are you stealing? You don't know, why are you gonna bother? But when you can go online, or you can hack the cloud or turn the cloud off for me, which you can do, people do it, my data is in my full control. Again, I'm a little more anal in that way than you have to be with your stuff, because I've got a larger project that I'm working with. It's just like a bank or a business, they have people that get paid good money to do these things like I do. And the Fish and Game Club doesn't have that kind of money, couldn't do that kind of backup, and the backup isn't as large a scope as a banking system, credit union, or business system has, so we don't generate the money to have an IT department. When I retired from Niagara Mohawk, I was in the IT department. I was titled Help Desk Analyst. All that means is, if I couldn't figure it out and help you, the guy down in the IT department could straighten me out, and I could take the information back to you, or send the IT person to your PC if it was a problem beyond my scope. So I don't have all the answers, but I've learned ways around some of the problems. And again, that's why I advocate the thumb drives.
Do you have a particular size that you like, Charlie?
Go ahead.
I used to buy what was available, decent price, but a 32 gig is about the smallest you want. 16, this would work on a 16 because there's not a lot of information there. So for passing out the information to the people I have to, I can use a smaller drive, they're cheaper, and it's almost like saying it's a one-shot. Because everything on it, I'm not gonna change it next year on their thumb drive. I'm gonna give them a new thumb drive. Everything will be fresh. That way they don't go and open up the 2021 roster, or even the order of business for the club meeting. When I call a meeting to order, I open to a specific page that has that meeting already printed out for me. And the night before the meeting, I go in and I edit it from my file and print out that page with the new information in it. But I'm not there. This coming Thursday is supposed to be a meeting. The vice president has all of these tools in her hands. And when she goes to the meeting, she's actually got not only the thumb drive, but a printed copy that I made for the officers so that they have it. That's how I keep it. You know, I take some of the glitches out of running a club meeting. You had a question?
Well, I was gonna, two things. I was gonna have you show them how many thumb drives you had and name off a few.
I left
Did you-
3/4 of them home.
Okay.
I brought a couple. And there is some significance.
Just name what you've got on some of them so that they understand why you separated everything that's on your computer.
I don't know if that looks familiar to you, Joe, but I think it plugged into your computer, and you made mention of it, Win 10.
Oh, yes.
When I went to Joe's 2 years ago now, I think it was, he was talking about problems he was having with his PC. Well, why don't you upgrade it? And, well, I don't want to spend it. I told him where you could get the program for under $10. And I had the download, so I did the download. He used the key that he got purchased, a legitimate key, and he had Windows 10 for under $10 on his computer. But this had to be downloaded from a legitimate source, and it had to be done with a program that allowed me either to make a bootable thumb drive or a bootable CD. And I've got that file at home, and I think it's on my master drive down here, so that I can make a backup of this if I need it, or a fresher version.
In fact, he gave me a thumb drive.
And here's another one that says Windows 10. A question might be asked of, well, why do I carry an install program of Win 10? I'm talking on the network. If I mess up and blow away a file, or if I get hit with malware, or if whatever it does destroys my PC, this gets the PC back together. I said I'd put a few of them together to talk about. Remember I said the Deerfield Fishing Game office computer, which is my computer? That's all of the basic information, any letters, any directory information as to where to go, it's all on that drive.
Does the drive ever get full?
These, well, these will, but I only take portions off of the hard drive. Think of the hard drive like this. Well, I only take a little wedge out of that pie and put it on here.
Now,
Because
yeah.
I don't have the programs, generally, I don't have the programs. I have the links to running stuff. I have letters, which are very small files, just stuff that I can plug in. And this one says Dell Dining Room. My PC at home in the dining room, which is kind of my central computer, that's the one I go to first. That's the one that I work on letters, that I bring information down from. So when I had a problem with the drive or with the computer, and I got out this disk to redo it, I took all the stuff, information that I wanted to make sure I didn't lose, and put it on this drive. Luckily, you can do a Win restore with this, and I was able to do the restore, keeping my programs, keeping my data, everything came back good. I was happy I didn't need to do anything here. So this is a point in time in which I had letters, other things on the PC. Some of them may have changed. So I'm gonna look first at what I've got on the current PC to make sure it's the same date as these are.
Charlie, have you experienced data loss or virus in any of the flash drives?
I haven't seen where I've had any corruption problems, but I have seen where I had a drive go bad. Why it went bad, I don't know. Could it have been an outside influence? I don't know. But when it doesn't work right and I have a question about it, I usually give it the player test. It survives a pair of pliers. Generally, they don't. This one says simply NRA women. My vice president in the club is a hunter safety instructor, as am I, a chief range safety officer, as am I, a pistol instructor, as am I. So I take information in those categories when I find it, and especially anything on a woman's point of view with guns. And I make sure I update her as well. This has got a very nice NRA program geared for women in protection system in offices and that type of thing. Doesn't need to be on my PC because it's like watching a DVD at home. You don't have to have that on your machine. All you have to do is plug it in when you want to look at it, get the information, enjoy the movie, whatever. Same thing here. And she can print it out in booklet form because it is basically just Word document pages. And I don't remember how many pages there were, but I printed out a few books for her, for some of the girls in the club. Again, if I had it on my PC though, how is she gonna get it? She damn well, I may love her, but she's not getting on my PC. That's how I keep my PC.
Have you found any correlation between the effectiveness of a thumb drive in the old architecture machines versus newer architecture?
Hard for me to make the comparison because I'm running Win 10 on everything. And the only PCs that I run Win 7 on still are ones that actually have ham radio programs that won't run in Win 10.
Okay.
Otherwise, I would be running them on Win 10. And like the Bofang, I think you can now run on Win 10. But I've got a couple other programs that you can't. And how do you program a radio that it's so easy to bring it up on the screen and it won't come up on Win 10? So that's my only reason for using Win 7. And I've got one or two machines that'll do that at home. And unfortunately, or fortunately, they get very little use. I'm not gonna emulate Win 7 on this because why slow this down with more baggage than I need? My little one, which only has I think it's 250 meg it doesn't have a hard drive. It's basically got a large thumb drive for its main memory core. I can't put a lot of stuff on it. So I couldn't even put a dual operating system on it. It just wouldn't run.
You keep your pictures on flash drive?
Pictures on flash drive, somewhat. Again, you'll find I got about 4 directories of pictures in here.
Okay.
In fact, I've got one file in here that says Mary Ann.
Mary Ann, who's that?
You know Mary Ann. Mary Ann had a PC that was going bad, and we were going to try to upgrade it. Before we did, I took everything off of her hard drive, and I had all of her pictures, which went back I don't know how many years. She had a very big file. I have since put them back on her new PC, but I kept a set back because I don't want to hear that famous thing that you hear from people. You remember the pictures you put on? They don't work. And that's not just Mary Ann. That's happened with a lot of people that if you do something for somebody, it's usually not a one-shot. Many times you have to go back and readdress the same issue.
How do you determine what size thumb drives you're going to buy?
What are you going to do with it?
I mean, do you look at the files and to determine how big they are, you know, how do you go about it?
I don't remember now if this is a 120 or if it's bigger. Can you guess why I bought that one?
Maybe pictures?
You see that little connector there?
Oh, yeah.
In order to plug into this PC, I either have to plug this into an adapter or I can plug it in directly. But again, I tell you that I'm kind of strange in a lot of ways, and that computing's not the only one. Can do that and can take pictures off the phone into that. I can play music on my phone from that. Not just link to music, but I can bring my own music. It's a multiple function, and I got it in the largest, shut up. I got it in the largest format that I could get this in at the time. I don't think I've got a 256 drive in this size. But again, it's used for more specifics than for volume. This one right here on the end of this cord, that's the mother load. That's a 256, and that's got just about everything I've talked about in here. My checkbook's on there. Only got the checkbook in one place. And why would I put it only in one place? Because I'm gonna write a check, I don't wanna have two separate checkbooks, because I updated this one, and then, no, every one of my checks is consecutive. All my dates are consecutive on that one drive, and I know where all my check information is. It's where I am. And again, that's a 256, that thing has got a lot of stuff on it.